Cool. I think I'll just go ahead and start. Assuming that all of you want to become an PM, I'm going to start this session. So, here, right. So, the topic for today is evolving as a product manager in B2B. So, let's just dive in. But before, talking about this whole evolving field of product management, I would like to tell you who I am. I'm Mithra Venuganam, who is currently a customer success manager at Zeta.io. A brief about Zeta is we are a product management platform where we help product managers understand the user problem and build products accordingly, right? In a very faster and build the right product faster and better. So moving on, before Zeta, I was a product specialist at Freshworks, where we, you know, I was primarily taking care of Fresh Desk. So this is a bit about me. So why am I doing this today is because I recently also launched product leadership census report, which essentially speaks about product managers and how their journeys look like. And with every day at Zeta, every day talking to people in product management industry, maybe product leaders or product managers or aspirants. I have a fair understanding of how this goes. So I wanted to share those insights with all of you. So without any further ado, I'm just going to start ahead. Right. So today we're going to talk about the whole overview of product management. It's not something that you don't know already, just to brush up on the basics. Then we talk about how is others different from the B2B product management space. Then we talk about the problem identification, or like how you can frame your problems better in order to attain the right solution. Then we also talk about product strategies here. Let's say now that we have the problem, what is the strategy? Like, how do you go ahead and build that, right? So that's one thing. And then finally, we have the takeaways, if in case you have anything in from this session, and you can also go ahead with your questions. So this is the agenda for the day. So quickly moving on. So the current PM profiles. So for instance, I talked to a lot of people, and from the product leadership census, I've understood that 70% of people who's into the product management industry is uh, started as PMs. Very lucky people, they had the liberty to start as PMs itself. But a lot of them now, like people who like people like me and a few other, I think 5 years, who's been in the industry for 5 years, are currently from a business or a technical background who's moved into product management. So this data that we took from the product leadership census was actually a very shock for us to understand that these many people are started as PMs or interns or in the product division itself. Then another shocking insight was 84% are not engineering PMs. So basically, like we were on, they're breaking, this data has broken the stereotype for us also, because we are under the consumption that people are from the engineering background to become a PM, but they actually changed how people are in coming into PMs, basically because they have a very business background or a very master's background or a very domain specific backgrounds here. So that's the insight that we had gotten from the report. Next is, so do you need to have masters is a very to break into product management. It's a very normal connotation that's circulating around. But when we asked to all the product leaders in the industry, they said that 73% of people suggest we don't need a master's degree to break into product management. So all these insights are telling us that people are directly right out of college getting into product management. They are not from an engineering background, and they don't have a master's degree. So this is the current PM profile. So these are again varied into B2C, B2B, and D2C also. But we are going to specifically see how anybody can switch their career from B2C or D2C into B2B, and what are the essentials to do this same. Right. So before you, when you decide that, okay, I want to become a product manager, or you're probably an aspirant, or probably someone who wants to switch to a B2B, you'll all look into the skills that you need, or like get into training classes and, could pick up a couple of courses to understand what product management is all about. So I've listed down the soft skills and the hard skills you might need. So for instance, adaptability, communication skills, like people skills, these are soft skills, and the most important ones are empathy and strategic thinking. Whereas in the uh, whereas in the hard skills of product management, the hard skills would be data analysis, then technical knowledge, business expertise in product space. So I think these are the skills that is well mentioned across. But I have a very different data which will follow through. So you take a keen look at it. These are the soft skills and hard skills you might need. But we have Marty Gagan, who is the founder of Silicon Valley Product Group, who's mentioned that a good product management is about having the right mindset and not about mastering a set of skills. So it's very important to address any feature development or any feedback or any product strategy with the right mindset. And it's not about mastering any of these skills here, right? So that's why I wanted you to take a keen look at it. It's not about any of these skills unless and until you are thinking it in the right mindset. So when I say right mindset, what do I say here, right? It's basically having the first principle thinking. So whenever you're building something, you think about why, what are you building, why are you building this, how are you building this, and what is the result of it, like how are you going to monetize this. So what's the value prop that you're giving to this feature or the product that you're going to build. So these are very important thought process that you need to have. So for instance, here we've mentioned as strategic thinking and communication skills and adaptability. So these are essentially skills that you need to that correlates with the first principle thinking, right? So having said that, I'll quickly move on to the survey results that we've got. So we rolled out a survey to product leaders, around 1,500 people, and we asked them what is the skill set that's very important. Like, these are skills that every product leader or a product manager should have, right? When we asked them that, they mentioned that 86% of the product leaders mentioned that if anyone should have a clean communication or a structured thinking, right? So a clean communication is basically able to communicate if there's something that you can build or you cannot. And structured thinking is, like I said, why you building, what you're building, and how are you going to build it, what is the value prop. So these are very important skill set for a product manager, and especially if you're someone who's trying to break into B2B, these comes in handy because your stakeholders are asking you questions left, right, and center, and you need to be able to communicate that what will be done, can be done, and will what will you do about it, right? So that's about the skills and all of these things. I'm just going to take a little pause here and ask if you have any questions. It could be about anything. I'm just going to take like a moment. If not, I'm just going to continue. So just feel free to stop me.
I do not have any questions now. Maybe towards the end, I'll ask you if I have anything.
Thanks for that. So quickly moving on. So earlier we said we'll discuss about what is the difference between others and B2B PMs here, right? So for instance, um, others, when I say others, it's B2C or B2C or any project management, they focus on consumers. So when I say consumer, they focus on user experience. So it is about an individual user. These are people who are going to consume the product. They're not customers. There's a vast difference between a consumer and a customer, because a consumer is just going to come here, consume your product, whereas a customer is he's going to adapt their function based on your product. So that's the difference here. As customers, they are someone who is looking to grow their business along with your business. As consumers, they come, they use your product, and they see, they do certain steps and they walk out of the product. So the loyalty level here between a consumer and a customer is entirely different, right? And the second point would be anything and everything. So when I say anything and everything, the company, the B2Cs, focus on any demographic, and the world is their oyster practically. So they have a vast audience, and they cater to any type of people here, right? So a good example would be Spotify, right? Because they cater to any type of people. I could be a senior citizen listening to songs, I could be a teenager who's listening to songs. So these are companies that cater to anything and everybody, right? It does not have a demographic, it does not have a location. uh, but when you take a B2B, right, when you get into a B2B, they have very niche user persona. So a good example would be, you can take Jira, right? Jira is again catering to a lot of people, but the niche users would be uh, project developers basically, right? Who are going to build and who maintain their sprints on Jira, or manage their project in Jira, right? So even though they are also vast and they cater to a lot of people here, but they have a very niche user persona, and they cater very well to those people, right? When you take in other companies, there is a smaller sales cycle. So you come, you use the product, and you pay for it. Example, Uber, right? You come, you book a ride, you take the ride, you pay for it. But when you take a B2B company, they have a longer sales cycle, because first they need to get into the product. They see how well they can adopt to the product, if the product meets all their requirements, and then they sign up for a POC, where they again extensively do a lot of research. They see if the whole team is getting adopted, post which they do the sale. So the sale is the entire process takes a longer duration compared to a B2C, right? Here again, the next difference would be SLG, the sales-led growth versus the product-led growth. So in B2C or D2C, it's more about the sales team going and putting the product out there, and having the sales run through. Whereas in product-led growth, it's the product that is enhancing the growth. So for instance, let's say that I think most of you would have known about Slack, right? Slack has a very free plan. Once you start using the app, you eventually get accommodated to the app, and you, after a certain point in time, you go ahead and you can't send any messages, because the quota that you have for Slack free plan would have been over. So what you do is you go ahead and pay for the product. So that is where the product leads the growth, right? Because now you cannot function without a Slack channel or your Slack account. Whereas in sales, it's not, in the B2C, it's not like that. Like the sales intervention has to happen, so they come from under the sales led growth. Example, pharmacy, or Tata 1mg, where these people induce a lot of marketing campaigns, attacking a lot of users, giving them awareness about their product, like how it will make their lives easier, and then the sales happen. So they need to acquire people, and then there is the conversion that's happening. So this is the basic difference between others and B2B PMs. This is where people will also work under. So I'll quickly move on to how. Okay, so I've glorified the B2B part pretty much. So when I asked ChatGPT that why are B2B product managers glorified, right? It gave me a very big detailed answer. So I've just jotted it out into 3 points, which is uh, driving revenue growth, right? Why is B2B product managers glorified again? They are responsible for the revenue to bring in, because I just yapped about product led growth. So you understand how the product leads to the revenue part. So here is why they all their product strategy or the vision or everything should be around driving the growth, right? And here it is very customized towards customer needs, right? So like I said, the difference between consumer and a customer. So customer is someone who's going to adopt into our product. So they need to know and build for their customer needs. So if this person can adopt only with feature A, B, and C, that feature has to be built, right? So that kind of informed decision is being taken by the product managers here. Next is cross-functional collaboration. So in a B2C company or in D2C company, what happens is people do a cross-functional, they speak with their stakeholders or their C levels, and then they decide on the product roadmap and build it, right? But they don't talk to their business team, or they don't talk to their other teams to get the inputs of what their customers are asking, or any of those decisions. All those thought process does not go into other firms segments. But in B2C, it's extremely opposite, where to build something, they need to know the business values and the kind of impact that will create in the business. So they have to talk to the growth teams, they have to understand how they can create the roadmap. So a lot of these cross-functional collaboration happens in B2B. So all these three things put together is why B2B managers are glorified. And I guess this is why everyone wants to get into B2B segment, right? So moving on to a B2B PM now, uh, specifically, because that's the topic all about. So first things first, so you need to make the B2B skill set consists of problem solving mindset and taking an informed decision based on data, then looking into customer needs. So all these together becomes a product strategy here. So this is the first basic principles, right? So it is in 76%, it is important to have a problem solving mindset. Then collecting the data, driving insights, and making an informed decision. Then getting into customer needs, understanding the business value, understanding the problem statement, and building the product strategy. So these are three things that is essential to build the product in and have a vision towards it. Right. So again, going back to the survey, we understand that 77% of the product leaders say that problem solving and empathy are the most important skill for a PM. So now we discussed about problem solving, informed decision making, customer needs, but the most important ones again to drill down would be problem solving and empathy. Right. Cool. So I've discussed with a few PMs in a very short time, where we understand that a lot of leaders say that problem discovery is their primary issue that they're currently facing, and how they can overcome it, right? Because they could build ABC, but how are they going to overcome the uh, problem discovery as an issue? So basically, the how we go about it in Zera is we recommend people or our product managers to talk to customers and conduct user research. So when I say user research, it's about getting a problem discovery, doing a problem discovery, or understand getting a solution validation or a demand validation in total, right? That's where you talk to customers. Then once you talk to customer, you get a few set of feedback, right? Where you analyze those feedbacks and identify the patterns. So you can identify what kind of feedbacks you've got, and who are the kind of people who's giving you these feedbacks, and what are the features which is getting impacted because of these features, right? Okay. Yeah. What are the impact that is yeah. So what is the impact of these feedback, right? Next is based on these two steps, right? You talk to customers, you get you get input from your customers, you identify these patterns, you draw. Then next step is for you to draw insights, right? These insights help you make informed decisions based on why do you want to build something and for who you want to build, and what is the impact this is going to create. So that will be the next step, where you understand the market trends, where you do competitor analysis just to understand what's the growth potential of this particular feature, this particular product, right? Where you talk to your growth team, you talk to your marketing team, you get them aligned if this is the kind of feedback, or are these the ones that your customers are basically addressing, and how many customers in general are addressing these kind of issues. So these will help you discover the problem more and frame your problem statement better and try to build a solution accordingly for it, right? So this is all about problem discovery, and so I'll just quickly move on to the next one, where I'll get I mean, this is a very favorite quote for me, where it was by Steve Jobs, the great himself. So he says, get closer than ever to your customers, because when you get close to them, you'll figure out more problems, or you'll figure out solutions than even them realizing it. So you get close to your customers is what he's been doing it in Apple so long. So I think every product manager or an aspirant of a product management should be able to understand the problem from the core, right? Instead of thinking something as a problem and then doing a solution by themselves, like talking to the management or talking to the business team, because it's whatever problem statement that they're giving is just basically the toner down version of what the customer is asking. So this is a very favorite quote, and I thought I wanted to share it with you guys, which resonates back to what I was referring to here, where you talk to customers and then understand the feedback and all that. So even before you find out the solution, you can address the bigger problem here, right? So next step would be, let's say that I figured out the problem. Okay, let's say that we've figured out everything and we know that, okay, I'm just going to build a strategy right now. So how do you build a strategy? Because it's a product strategy, you need to have your vision, you need to have your why you doing this, and when will you do these, all these kind of questions that you need to answer as you build a strategy, right? So for that, there are multiple frameworks, but in B2B, as a B2B PM, you need to understand the North Star metric, right? Which is called NSM. So why do anyone has jot down on a North Star metric is because it helps you identify the right solution for any kind of problem that you're facing. So for instance, so for here, if you see, we have breadth, depth, and frequency, right? So it's asking the right questions. So how many users are we engaging? So if there is a particular feature, how many users will be engaging on here, and what level of engagement will the users have? and how often do our users interact. So now I'll give you a good example for this. Okay, so you guys know Spotify, right? Spotify, have you ever used Spotify on your laptop? Because the web app does not allow you to do anything other than streaming. So in the earlier point in time, they did not have a playlist, or you can't do anything that you do on the app by from the web app. So because they were still trying to find the North Star metric for the web app, right? Because the basic functionality, the minimum viable product, which is streaming music, which was possible on the web app, but they didn't position it. They couldn't position how many users are going to be engaging on a web app, and what level, and who are these people. So these are questions that they were not able to answer to, and still they don't have the answers for, and we don't have a lot of other functionalities like how we have on the app, right? So when you figure out your North Star metric, then you get the money, so you get the revenue. So it's very important for you to understand the NSM before, when you're doing your strategy itself, and then go to the next step. So any questions here? I just feel like I've been talking a lot. I mean, I hope it's not very overwhelming.
Can you give an example for NSM?
NSM, North Star metric.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Like I just said, streaming for Spotify, streaming music for Spotify is a North Star metric. Being able to book a ride and pay for the ride is a North Star metric in Uber. Uh, and being able to book a house, or like a, um, a staycation, like, one house or one night stay in an Airbnb, is a North Star metric. So that one smaller portion that people start doing, right, they intend to do, is a North Star metric in general. Cool. Okay. Right. So once you've figured out your strategy, you've figured out what you need to do, the next steps as a B2B PM, you would have to set up the goals. So these goals need to be very measurable, and it needs to have a timeline for it. So goals could be about, let's say, I want to increase the revenue 20%, and that goal should have very measurable initiatives for it. And it should, let's say I want to increase the revenue to 20%, but it could happen over a year, right? But unless you set up a time frame, let's say in the quarter 2, I want to increase it to 20%. So my current revenue is so and so, I want to move the needle towards this number. So that's the goal that you need to set, and it needs to be very measurable and time bounded. The next step, after you set up the goal, is to prioritize the features. Now this is the goal. I want to increase the revenue 20%, right? How do you prioritize these features? How do you get to that is by prioritizing the features that will move the needle. So for instance, if I let customers share music, I get more visibility. Let's say Spotify example again. So if I let people share the song, that will again a retention point. So people will start coming back into Spotify, they'll start listening to the music, they'll listen to a lot of ads. Now they don't want to leave because all their friends are using. There's a social validation that's happening here, and people will not move out of Spotify. So these are features. This is how you prioritize a feature. And and even the prioritization bucket could be, is it something that you're going to pick up now, or is it the next one, or it's going to be picked up later? So you need to bucket your features into these three categories. This is a framework. It's a very simple framework that everybody understands. We have RISE, and we have value effort, we have Moscow. These are different frameworks that people use, but in overall, widely people use this as a framework, right? Next, once you prioritize the kind of features that you want to build next that will move the needle, you go to documenting everything. So I've picked up, this is my goal, this is my feature list. but I need to specify, like, because I need to align my team, my design team, my developer team into building what is in my imagination, right? I might have a lot of reference here, but how am I going to convey that to my rest of the teams? So we need to have everything documented. You might create a TRD, you might create your MRDs, you might create your one pages, but everything in a B2B platform or B2B company needs to be absolutely documented, right? Post which you'll start creating roadmap. So now to have everybody aligned, now you know how things has to be created using a PRD, but how are you going to align them in the road? So align them with the timeline that you've created. So you create a roadmap, and in the roadmap, everything needs to be specified from A to Z, right? The next one is, like, when I say everything, every small bits and pieces, that's why I've highlighted it in caps. So a documentation in a B2B company is very, very important. The next thing is production. I mean, of course, in production, you'll have the estimation. You need to understand how many, what's the value effort from the engineering team. What kind of scoring are you going with? Are you going with t-shirt sizing, or do you have another framework here? Then you get into the development phase where you set the sprint cycles. You understand what are the challenges. Be alongside with them until they do the development, because there could be a lot of questions when they're going to build something. And then there is a QA, right? Because as product managers, most of them do the QA themselves, but if in case there is a QA team, then they start doing the QA also, right? Post all of these iterations, all of these steps, we have launching. So when it comes to launch, it's basically releasing a feature and informing the customers who required the features. So in B2B, like I said, customers are the ones who's going to put in all their requests and put in all their, we are building basically features for them, right? So once you build it, you go back to them and inform that these are the features that you asked, and we've built this for you. The next step is to create a feedback loop. So which is very, very, very important, because we at Zera are very, very, we stress a lot on the feedback loop. And I personally stress a lot to my all of my customers, product managers, because we've launched something, and I get back on calls with them to understand what's the kind of feedback from the feature that we've recently launched, right? So I mean, that's a validation for me, my team, and the my product managers, everybody who's built it. So when they give a feedback, then the loop again creates. From the feedback, we again go understand the problem, then we come back to strategy, and then we set up the goals. And so this is how you create a feedback loop. So that's about product strategy in on the whole. So now we've discussed about how you need to understand your problem. From the problem, how do you get to the strategy? And after the strategy, how you've done the do the execution, and how you create a feedback loop. So to sum up all, I mean, this is very specific to B2B space itself. It's not about any other things could be different. A lot of them will have a different perception about how they execute. So this is something that I've figured out a lot of B2B product managers have done in general. Cool. So five key takeaways from this session would be, personally, problem discovery, having a clean communication if you want to be in the B2B space, then being a having the ability to do market sizing, which is understanding the competitors, then having a product strategy. So basically building the product strategy, which we just saw, and growth hacking. Growth hacking is nothing but understanding how the product will play in the market, which will eventually help you with the product market fit. I mean, those are very detailed topics. I didn't want to cover that in this, because I wanted to keep it as light as possible, not going in depths of all of these. These are on the high level. Five important things that you need to look into if you want to break into B2B product management. So that's it. finally, thank you very much for your time. So this is a meme that we've created at Zera, and I wanted to share it out. Right. I'll do one thing. I'll share this PPT with all of you guys in case if you want to go ahead and refer at any point in time. Uh, Feel free to keep in touch with me. I'm on LinkedIn. I've shared my link also. And these are some useful resources that you can look into. So I personally think Inspired is a book that I learned, and I learned a lot of product management strategies from there. And then there is PM Wiki, which is by Zeta itself, and Lenny's newsletters. So these are the sources that can help.
I think Girish has a question on ask and the demos data.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Dinesh, just give me a second. Let me pull up the sample workspace here. Yes, Dinesh, thanks for asking this. So this is Zeda. This is the onboarding page where we have uh, just some cues as a new user for you to explore Zeda, where you can have. We have multiple modules here. So where you can collect your feedback. You have a feature, documents, roadmaps, goals, release notes, all of these things. I'll just keep this very brief so that I don't overwhelm any of you guys. So feedback is where you get all your customer requests. We have multiple sources to collect feedback. Using this feedback, you understand how many people have requested for it. So for instance, we have number of upvoters here. So if this is a feedback that you've received from a lot of people, you can go ahead and create a feature. So this probably forecast management is something that everybody needs. You understand you've gotten a validation, you've done your product research, you've selected the users, you have done your problem discovery, everything. So after post which you understand, okay, this is the feature that you want to build, right? You can go ahead and promote this feedback into a feature where you click on this, you can go ahead and create a feature. So all the features that you create in Zena will be, sorry, from the feedback will be available here. And so when you click on this, it will take you to the feedback details page, right? So when I say, okay, let me clarify these terms here. So feedback is something that your customers are giving, right? It could be from your customers or it could be from your internal stakeholders. Whereas feature here, what we mean is your ideas, like the things that you want to build, right? So some things, let's say if you want to build a feature for the feedback that your customer is given, after your prioritization, all those things that I'd mentioned earlier in this PPT here. So after doing all those problem discovery, you decide to build, you do your prioritization and everything. You will have all the features here, right? Now you can have your feature created as an epic, and you can have your ISBTs here also, right? So Zeta gives you a feature analytics tab where you understand how many features you have in total. What is the completion rate of these features? Like say how your backlog is doing. So you can do a lot of your backlog grooming from here because you can understand the month-on-month completion rate or quarter-on-quarter completion rate, and you can further break down into how much has gone, what was the status from the last month to this quarter, how things are looking, how things are progressing. So with this, you can make an informed decision. Let's say I don't want to keep my backlog less than 20% or 10%. So if these are features that is currently the 20, it's 26%, right? Now, as a product manager, I do not want to see 26% here. I'll go ahead and review what are all the ones that's unplanned. And I go ahead and start, looking into why those are unplanned and why they're deprioritized at the moment. So you can have this is the list view. We have a board view for it also, where you can go ahead and move the cards across. You can directly create your features from this dashboard here also. So once you've from your feedback, now you've created a feature. So next step is for you to create for documents or specs for these features to be built and given it to your developers. So we have a pre-existing templates where you can take advantage of them. But in case if you want to import from your Google Docs or your Notion or Confluence, you can do that also. You can go ahead and import the document directly. So once you have the documents here, this is how it will look like. You can go ahead and drop in your comments. Let's say I'm a CSM and I want to understand what this feature is talking about, what the product manager is basically talking about here. I go ahead and leave a comment. Post which as someone who's commented, I can go ahead and see all the comments in case if they've replied or not. I'll have a fair understanding here. Then let's say I want to assign it to a product. I can go ahead and add the product here. In case I want to align it to any feature that is actually existing, I can do that also. Quickly before that, I had forgotten to show you something. When you open any feature, you can see the number of feedbacks that's aligned here and all the modules that's synced with this feature. So the idea is basically to have a one-stop shop of whatever is required for your features. So your sub feature, let's say, these are very common terms in Jira where you call it as parent and child. So you have the parent, you have child, you have the dependencies. You can link it to a roadmap. You can have the durations mentioned. You have the details of the feature also. Then you have prioritization. Let's say this is a very custom framework. By default, we have price and value effort as your prioritization frameworks. So now you create. So coming back to documents here, you can go ahead and create a feature directly from the documents. Once you create the features, you can go ahead and see all the features that's aligned with this document here also. Moving on, now I've created the documents. Like I said, we need to create a roadmap also, right? Because we need to make sure everybody is aligned in the team to the timeline, the kind of features that will go, who's owning what. So you can go ahead and create your roadmap directly from here. You can choose the view of it also. And to create a roadmap, you need to have features inside Zeta. So because roadmap is basically built on the features, as you are aware, right? So once you create a roadmap, this is how the roadmap will look like. This is a Kanban view of the roadmap, but you can go ahead and again customize them to timeline view. So under the timeline view, this is how the roadmap will look like. And the one here you see are the dependencies. So let's say this is a feature that's dependent on this and this. It will be able to, it will show you in a visual way that these are the dependencies is there. And let's say this is again dependent on something else, then that will also be shown. So a lot of these things are visually represented at this timeline view. You can again do quarter, week. You can go ahead and maximize in case if you want to send it to someone, right? You can go ahead and do that also. We can share it as a public link. So you click on the roadmap. It's a workspace level. Now, as a public link, you can go ahead and share it with your customers. And this is also available in the customer portal, which I'll just show you in a bit. So let's say you have a few features which do not have a timeline. These are unplanned features. They go into the parking lot. They lie under the parking lot. And this is the milestones in case if you want to drop in. So that's just about the roadmaps. Quickly moving on to the goals where you set up your product strategy. So let's say this is the goal for Zeta right now is to increase the NPS score. So we need to focus on the initiative would be to focus on the better product usability, right? So I have added a lot of features that's going to get me achieve the goal. So this is let's say I have a HubSpot integration, probably the status of that is marked as completed now. So what happens here is from 60%, the progress increases up to 67%. So you can easily track your goals using Zeta and keep keep a tab on how they're going also. So for instance, how you can do that is, let's say you want to do a check-in, you can go ahead and manually understand how this goes. I mean, because from your stakeholders, these are the goals, right? But you might have had a timeline for it. So this goal should have been achieved in month of February, but it's already March now. So you can keep a track on it saying, okay, it is basically off track right now. You can go ahead and do it manually and keep a special eye on this goal so that you understand, okay, if this is off track, you'll be able to see if it's off track, right? Now you will do anything to make it go on track. So that those are the informed decisions that you can take from these goals here, right? Then you have release notes where you communicate all the changes you've made to your customers using it. But again, we have a few templates here. I don't think it's very self-explanatory, so I'm not going much into these. So it's basically communicating to your customers about the kind of changes you've made. I'll show you how it will look here. So for instance, this is Zeta's widget, where we allow our customers to drop in feedback requests. They can upvote it, and they can also leave a comment. And these are the release notes that Zeta has published recently. So in case in this release note, you can see what are all the changes we've recently made, right? So this is just about the release notes here. Then we have something called product space, is where you can bifurcate your product into multiple pods and keep a repository. So this is very similar to your Google Docs, Google Drive, where you can create your docs and you can have everything about your product in one place. So for instance, here, this is the vision, the description, the competitive analysis, the personas, the kind of features you have. All the XYZs of the product is available inside the product space. Lastly, we have something called customer portal. So customer portal is nothing but basically, as the name suggests, it's a portal where people can go ahead and put in their feedback for your product or your company, and they can track their request based on the kind of feedback that is, and they can have road view of the request that they've raised also, and they have and all the release notes that they've launched here, right? And finally, you can also add your roadmap link, public roadmap link here to the customer portal, where they can see all the features or what's in progress from the company's end. So this is all about Zeta. Dinesh, do you have any questions here?
Uh, Mitra, thanks for the demo, Mitra. Uh, in a company, there will be multiple sub products, so there should be individual Zeta for each product, or throughout the company they can manage one Zeta.
One Zeta is enough to manage the whole. I mean, for this, because how I'm saying this is, you can manage the products inside the product space, which I said as Google Docs, right? So you can manage them, and you can bifurcate your views and your, your basically, yeah, you just need one Zeta.
Okay. And one more thing, there are a lot of this board kind of tool which allows you to manage tasks in Kanban or in a list view,
Correct.
move between users, and also we'll be able to see the timeline layout as well. Let's say Airtable or any such kind of tool. So
Right.
where Zeta stands out of those tools.
Right. So, I mean, or none of those tools basically address the customer. I mean, we one step closer. That's where we stand out. So, for instance, we allow them a more medium, right? A medium to get to their customers, and in a very closer environment, very one step close to answering their customers directly. and getting more, for instance, doing a problem discovery or like getting a solution validation or a demand validation from the customers directly. So this is where Zera stands out, where we start from the problem, we understand what any customer, any product manager can understand what exactly is the problem and then build the solution from that. So this is where we stand out.
Okay. Thanks, Mithra.
Thanks, Dinesh. Anybody else? Any other questions? Yeah.
Hi, this is Sunil side. So basically, my was like I wanted to know like what's the most. I mean, I think you would the right person to answer it. The loved feature by your customers. I mean, like what's the NSM for Zenero that we
It's the feedback module
Feedback.
itself. Yeah. That's where we stand out. Yeah, feedback and the release notes.
use?
Because it's closing the loop. They get the feedback, they do all the process, they communicate it back via the release notes. And again, from the same place, they start giving us the feedback. So we have a feedback loop at Zeda that's been created. So that's where we stand out.
And all the active directories are maintained inside Zenero.io, so you just click on a single button and the email is published to everyone.
Yes. Cool. Thanks. Cool. Then I hope this session was useful. If any of you have any questions, you can directly ping me in LinkedIn. I'm always available, and I'm part of the product space Coimbatore, so you can drop in questions in the group also.
Thank you, Mithra. Thank you for the time and also like giving us a through of things.
Thanks. Siddharth.
One thing it starts to cover is like always people quote Steve Jobs for not talking to customers, stating that people do not know what they want. But I really like the way you talk about it.
Because that's a very normal connotation that he's never spoken to people, but that's not true.
Yeah.
He was always one step closer to people. So I wanted to highlight that.
Yeah, actually I like that.
Thanks, Siddharth.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
If anybody has any questions, you can drop it on chat. We'll wait for a minute. If there are no questions, then we will close the session.